chat box. Hi, everyone, people I know and people I don't know. So good to see everyone here. If you can hear me well, you can see me well, again, let me know in the chat, please. Because, well, we all depend on the connection, right? So it's better know than not know. Thank you. Hello. So I will quickly say a few words about myself, and then we'll start our webinar tonight. And plan about 1 hour of your time, okay, for this topic. So my name is Katia Redkina. I'm originally a psychologist and then an English teacher, and now I'm actually trying to combine these two areas together. I've been teaching for about 15 years already, and the more I teach, the more I see that teachers, students and parents all need some psychological knowledge and some psychological background. So in my webinar today, I will be talking about how we as teachers can help parents of young learners, and I will be referring a lot to psychological, aspects of this. So mostly we'll be talking not about language, but about psychological, let's say, elements of teaching. So first of all, when we address young learners exams, you might hear quite often a lot of reluctance or a lot of doubts and concerns from parents. Let me know if this is familiar. At least what I heard and my colleagues shared with me is that often parents, well, they do have concerns. Let's say some people might say, some parents might say that, well, it's too early. Why do we need young learners exams in the first place, right? So my child, let him or her just, speak English, learn English. Why all these exams? That could be one way to look at it. Another way, parents are more interested in the communicative side, because now we understand that language is necessary for communication, for travel, for future career studies, rather than for exams. So the formal side of preparation, the test and exam side, parents sometimes they don't understand why actually, well, we have to do it. I've heard some parents saying that, well, exam is something serious, and well, my child is so small, but I can't help them, right? So maybe the parents feel that there is extra pressure on them in terms of exams, young learners exams, right? So they are worried that they won't be able to help. When we talk about teenagers and exams for older students, usually parents do not have these concerns, because for everyone it's pretty clear why we have exams, right? And what is the future benefit and outcome. With young learners, well, these questions often appear. Okay, thank you for sharing. So you say that you haven't heard of this specifically, concerns, right? But parents are not aware of the exams in my experience. Yes, that's another way to look at it. Parents simply don't know that there are some exams for young learners. So they simply, unaware, and that's also possible. We'll talk about this a little bit later today. So the plan for today is the following. First of all, I want to briefly mention the value of assessment in general. So obviously, I'm not trying to persuade you, because I'm pretty sure you know the value of assessment, but this could be a valid point to communicate to your parents, to parents of your students, to tell them why assessment in general is important. Then we'll try to quickly say why exams are important, and then what makes young learners exam special. And if your parents of your students are skeptical, not sure, or simply have no idea, then you will have something to tell them, something to give them, like some food for thought. Then the biggest blocks would be 4 and 5. I would like to talk and discuss with you different beliefs parents have about exams, and again, for young learners exams, these beliefs will be probably stronger because parents are responsible for young learners. In case of teenagers, parents feel they are sort of at a bigger distance from a child, and students decide for themselves a lot of things. For young learners, because of high responsibility and smaller distance between parents and children, parents are really, well, they feel this responsibility, and there are lots of beliefs that could be not very efficient and even negative, and they might influence the attitude towards exams. And finally, we'll talk about tips that you might be using when you talk with parents and discussing, exams. So we'll start with the value of assessment. As I said, I'm pretty sure you understand that well. Assessment is very important, obviously. What you can tell your parents, again, parents of your students, is that if we're talking about well-designed tests, exams, even the idea of taking a test, an exam further during the year, during the term, has usually a positive impact on the learning of the student and your teaching as well. This is called backwash or washback effect. We'll mention it today several times, so I want you to remember the term. This positive effect has been measured and studied in Cambridge a lot, so it's not just out of blue. There's been research, statistics, and it actually shows that students who were going to take exams, they had this influence throughout the year. They were more motivated. They showed more, interest towards preparation. They have a clear objective, what they're doing, right? And they have certain goal. Even young learners can understand this. So we often think that kids do not understand the idea of, goal setting and idea of motivation. They don't really understand long-term goals, but of course they can understand that what is a test, what is an exam, and for them it's also interesting. Even without taking exams yet, even the idea of the exam in the future influences the process of teaching and learning. Now let's imagine that actually kids have taken the exam and they have passed it successfully. So what happens? It also has a very positive effect on the students' self-image as a language learner. So kids who take young learners exam are usually very confident about themselves. They have this self-respect. They know that exams are fun and they are not afraid so much of them, in the future. And they've practiced a lot of English, so they understand that English is something you can use in real life. It's not just, theory in a book. So it's for everyday use. And it's also the exam, the positive thing is also that you can measure the level of your student and see where they are now and where to move on. This information can be useful both for the teachers and for the parents, of course. Okay. Right, I see the question. I will refer to this a little bit later, okay, about this washback thing. Thank you for asking. As for importance of exams, if we talk about Cambridge system, I'm pretty sure you know that we are not talking about exams in isolation. All exams actually make up this, they have certain consistency within each other and they are connected. So exams have very similar format, all Cambridge exams. They grow accordingly to the levels, and kids who have taken young learners exams, you see this, they are kind of on the screen highlighted, right? So they are much better actually prepared cognitively and psychologically, mentally, for further exams in the future. So from my experience, kids who have taken young learners exams are less stressed to do key, for example, A2 key for schools, or even if you jump straight away from young learners exams to preliminary, B1 preliminary for schools, which is next level, right? So because format of the exams is similar, tasks are similar, there isn't such a stress that is usually associated with exams, because they've done it before, they've seen it, and because they've already taken young learners exams and they thought that this is fun and interesting, they don't have this extreme association, like they don't have the extreme association of stress with exams that kids usually have. For example, I never had young learners exams when I was young, because, well, I was studying many years ago, so we didn't have this. And I think my first exam happened much, much later, let's say when I was a teenager. I had no experience, and by that time, obviously, I was thinking that exams are stressful. And there is nothing fun about that. There is nothing interesting. And that's the only thing is stress. Young learners exams, they actually fight this stereotype. And children, once again, I will repeat, those who take young learners test, they are much more likely to be less anxious about future exams. Well, I think this is a very good point, judging from my experience. Now, if we talk about young learners specifically, young learners exams, I'm pretty sure you know that there are 3 levels here, right? We talk about pre-A1 starters, A1 movers, A2 flyers. Again, there is a succession, and I like the idea of even pre-A1, which means that at a very, very low level with young learners, that's about age of 6, 7, you already can start doing some exam format tasks. And then they progress, move on, and develop. So I think this is a very good idea. If we try to measure students' abilities at different levels, you will see that actually exams test very different skills. The same as with all young learners exams, they check all 4 skills like reading, listening, speaking, and writing, right? Also grammar, also vocabulary, and ability to understand spoken language addressed to you spontaneously, ability to communicate successfully, to react to unknown communicative situations. So this is something that we use in everyday life. And children here in this safe exam environment can test themselves and see how well they are prepared for future communication. So parents who don't know why we actually need exams, you might explain this. You might tell them that exams is a good way to first teach and then test students on all the necessary skills and knowledge that students need in real communication. Again, exams that I had back at school, they were not communicative. These were mostly tests, grammar tests. So I think this is, again, a very good idea that Cambridge provides this ability for students to communicate and show actually language in a communicative way. So if you see, I don't know if it's readable, but you can see that there are lots of things on these slides, right? And there are lots of skills. And you see even just from the amount of text here, how skills progress. And it's difficult to measure small nuances of language. Well, exams offer this chance, right, to measure how language slowly builds up on the previous level. So this is also the benefit of young learners exams. Well, what makes young learners exams special or different from all other exams? You've seen there are quite many. So mostly, again, and this could be the argument for parents. As I said, they develop all 4 skills. Yes, that's the same with all other exams, and this is good. Young learners exams are right for kids in terms of level and content. especially content is important here, because young learners exams are made on and built on the topics that are understandable for young learners. So we don't have abstract or complicated things going on there. We usually talk about everyday, basic, clear, understandable things students can relate to. It could be objects around us, right? It could be school, if they already start school. This could be family, obviously, pets, some games, seasons, weather, clothing, everything that they can see in everyday life, right? So everything they can relate to. As I mentioned many times, young learners exams are actually fun. So if you ask kids who were preparing, they usually would say, oh yeah, we enjoyed it. It was nice. It was interesting. It was fun. We had fun. Why is that? Well, because we understand that teaching young learners should be like this, right? And books are colorful. There are lots of pictures, lots of games, and songs and everything. So you would be preparing for the exam the same way as you would be doing, any other lesson. So again, there is a stereotype that general English classes for kids are interesting and, very active. Exams are kind of serious and boring. No, you would still be doing the same things, just on the exam material. Motivation here is a point I would like to mention as well, because motivation is the students understand, as I said earlier, the concept of exam. They want to see how good they are, and this motivates them. Yes, it's kind of external motivation, right? Maybe they don't really understand it yet, as teenagers or adults do, but still, actually, young learners do have problem with internal motivation, because they come to class in the first place because parents bring them there. Hardly ever there would be a 6-year-old kid who would be willing to learn English just because he wants. I mean, this could be, but usually parents bring children. So motivation is external, and it's absolutely fine for young learners. It's like normal for them. The same thing we have here. Exam is external motivation, and it's absolutely fine for this age, right? So I think this is a good point. Then, especially good thing about young learners exams is that you cannot fail. So it's not just pass or fail, it's always pass, always, right? So you cannot fail this exam. It means that students will not be demotivated, okay? It's not like with other tests where you actually can fail, and this might be, very stressful event. With children, it doesn't happen. So you will get at least some score, you will get some results. So you cannot fail young learners test. As I said earlier, exams are based on real life communication, or something that imitates things we do in real life. So dialogues would be more or less natural. We will be discussing topics that are natural in this or that way, right? And everything will be similar to real life, as if they were, I don't know, using first language. And finally, with exams, what is important to mention is the first positive impression. Again, I said it earlier, those who take these tests have a very positive image of exams in general. We know how stressful exams are, especially in the Russian system, schooling system. So I think having first positive impression is actually a good thing. So this is how certificates will look. Right on the left, you see that the score is given in the form of shields. So these pictures of shields, and all learners receive a certificate, and it helps students to build confidence. They are usually very proud of themselves, and I know that young learners teachers often put these certificates around the class. They frame them so it all looks very fancy and very serious. I think it's great. So you can celebrate achievement, and you can tell parents how important this is, right? So this certificate, yes, it's low level, we understand this, but it is still accepted and accredited, like understood everywhere in the world, because it's Cambridge certificate. So these are the positive things, right? So these are examples of shields, and you see how one level actually moves on to the second one and then next one, and how each next level builds up on the previous one. So let's say the best result in movers would be already quite a good medium result in flyers. So this is how you build it up on the top of the previous one. So this is how exams are connected. And here comes Washback again, and I think I will now come back to your question. So as I said, Washback is the idea that future exam influences in some way on the learning and teaching process. So positive washback means that this influence is positive, right? So what kind of positive washback I'm talking about? I'm talking again about motivation, being, well, how to put it? Yeah, motivated or like willing to take this test in the future, makes them think about it more and be more, well, maybe hardworking or diligent for the future exam. What else? Well, let me look at the question here. Yeah, so the question is about actually negative washback. So is it possible that there is negative washback, a negative effect on the classroom, and that we have more exam practice rather than language development? Yes, where kids practice papers, yeah, past papers, and yeah. Obviously, this might happen. It's not always that probably you will have only positive washback. Yes, I think this this might be the case. However, I think this is mostly for older students, because we don't do lots of past papers or only past papers with young learners. There are nice, not nice, they're actually great books for preparation for young learners exams, where all the exam tasks are built in the whole lesson. So you are preparing, but at the same time, you are doing things you are normally doing. So I've never seen classes with young learners where kids are simply doing, you know, these past papers. This might be the case, of course, with older students and teenagers. Even these past papers could be as home assignments, like go home, do it, bring it back, I'll check, right? It happens. Yeah, this might be actually demotivating, because students do not see the reason why they're doing this. It's not interesting. But with young learners, I don't think this is the case, because yeah, just materials are nice, and if you avoid doing past papers all the time, I think everyone is enjoying it, including the teacher. My colleagues of mine who prepare for young learners exams, they're actually enjoying it themselves. So it's fun for everyone, for everyone involved. Well, that's at least how I see it. If you ask kids, and it often happens that, you know, after the exam, you want to know some feedback from your learners. And usually children say that they liked the pictures, they liked the songs or some games they played, obviously, well, because they're children. And many children say that, yeah, that was fun. It is fun. And one of, again, my colleagues, she actually was interviewing her students immediately after they left the exam room. I don't have their quotes here, but what she told me is that most kids were happy that they did it. They were proud of themselves. They thought, oh, I'm good. I managed, even without knowing the results yet, right? So it's just the overall impression of exam. And I think this is very important, because if exam helps you be proud of yourself and enjoy learning, well, why not try it then? Yeah, so this is very good from the point of view of motivation. Now, let's finally think and discuss, well, parents. What parents think about young learners exams. Again, from my experience of my friends, teacher friends, there are lots of concerns from parents. Again, let me know if you've seen something similar. You can put numbers if that somehow relates to your experience. I've heard parents saying, oh, well, exams are difficult. So, and as a result, they might be worried that the child will not be able to, pass it successfully. So, because they have this image that exams are difficult. Some parents, yes, as I mentioned earlier, might say that my child is too young. He's just too small for the exams. Why start at the age of 6 or 7? I remember one parent telling me that, oh, they will have enough exams later. I want her just to have fun. Well, valid. But again, if they see exam as something tough and something specifically different from everyday classes, yeah, this could be the case. But again, you can tell such a parent that you will see no difference. This would be the same interesting class with lots of activities, just the tasks we're giving from exam exam format. That's it. Parents might be thinking that exam preparation is boring, and well, again, apparently this comes from personal experience, but I've heard this. Number 4 here, parents might be thinking that exam is just, grammar test. It is not about communication. It's not about speaking. It's not about real life. So why waste time doing all these tests? Again, that's not valid for young learners, because that's not what we do with the young learners exams, right? That's not just test. No. Again, this concern we mentioned on the first slide is that parents want to help because they think, oh, exam, this is serious, but they don't know how to help. And this might be, a slight concern. Again, I think this one is a lot in the minds of parents, well, at least in Russia, that exam preparation is all about drilling and doing mock tests. We've seen this a lot. And as I said, we see it a lot now in secondary school, in high school, yes. But for young learners, I wouldn't say that this is what's happening. We don't do this so much. Okay, I see another comment. Exams do not show the right picture of knowledge. Yes, because again, parents probably have experience in exams and they don't believe the results, or maybe they think that exams do not measure anything. So they have questions about the quality of assessment instruments. Here you can tell them that actually Cambridge exams, they didn't appear yesterday, right? It's a huge system of statistics and data analysis and measurements and feedback, data collection from parents, students, teachers. All of this is analyzed. All the tests are being how to say, tested, if I can say so. So exams are balanced, good, and they are always improving them. Like every 10-ish years, exam formats are being somehow changed and improved. So here, I think that shouldn't be the worry. Where do these concerns or negative attitudes, negative beliefs come from, or even fears? Where do they come from? Obviously, parents had some learning experience. It could be big, small, or even zero. So if they had their own language learning experience, this is the only thing that they can relate to. Most parents have no idea what is happening now in the classroom with the learners. Let's say my father, who had this basically grammar translation English classes at school, he still believes that we are doing a lot of translation, the same as my mom, who used to translate texts with me when I was a child. And when I tell them that we do not do the translation now, they get surprised, because they used to be students many years ago, so they have no are they experienced to relate to? So many parents think that, well, they think different things because of their own experience, right? So another idea is that parents very often have little or even no exam experience in English, in languages, so they don't know what to expect. And as a result, they don't know what, like how to support a child, how to explain. Let's say if they think that exams are stressful, because that's the only thing they know about exams, this is the message that they will, transmit to the students. And then students start getting nervous. Interesting fact, exam stress, the same as fear of mistake, is never inborn. Kids do not have it from the early beginning. If you take young learners who just started, they will be usually as like blank slates. They have no attitude to either exam or mistakes or studies. They are open to everything. And these attitudes are developed through teachers and parents. So if teachers keep saying, oh, exams, this is very important, please be careful, please concentrate, and so on and so forth. If you're telling students that this is difficult and very serious, your anxiety is shared. The same with parents. If parents had, let's say, negative experience in exam preparation, maybe failed exams, maybe some self-esteem issues here connected with language exams, they will be sharing this anxiety again or fear with the learner. I've seen this when kids suddenly come and say, I don't want to take this exam. I'm worried, suddenly, out of nowhere. Probably they had a talk with a parent at home, and fear is very contagious, right? So, and anxiety is very contagious. If I start getting nervous, the students or my children will get it from me. So we need to be careful here what message and image we make out of early exams. Another mechanism, psychological mechanism that works is projection. Projection is usually, let's say, when we have some image or understanding of something and we project it onto others, right? So again, with this fear, this is mechanism of projection. I'm afraid to fail, so I don't want my child to fail, so I tell them not to fail, and this is where anxiety comes from. Or I'm a perfectionist and I am overachiever, for example, and I want my kids to be the best, and if it's the exam, it should be always the best result. Maybe you've seen such parents who, for them, pass is not an option. It should be the best, of all the bands, and then they will be upset, and the child, as a result, will be upset if they didn't get the highest mark. So parents here are actually putting their ideas in children's heads, and again, I'm not saying it's good or bad, it's just what is happening. Another area of, problematic area, let's put it this way, parents do not know much about exam structure, exam preparation, exam materials, and anything that happens in the classroom. So they don't know. So usually when we don't know something, we are quite reluctant or skeptical. So if they, again, think that it's all about doing past papers and mock tests, and it is not, maybe it's a good idea to tell them that actually, that's something different now. Preparation to young learners exams, that's something different. Point number 6 is about extra money or time, because exams are obviously, they take money and time, and very often they don't know why to spend all this, right? And of course, everyone is afraid about additional workload. This could be two ways. parents are afraid of their workload, so I will have to help, I will need to support, or parents are worried that this would be extra workload for the student. So many parents understand that children now are very busy at school and they have lots of extracurricular classes, and doing an exam could be too much, right? Or like too stressful, not good for the nervous system. And some parents might be thinking, should my child do that? What if it's just, language for pleasure? Let's do exams later. Yeah, just avoiding the workload. Okay. Okay, interesting. Let me see. Why not remove the shield scoring system altogether and just receive a certificate for taking the exam? Wouldn't that remove high expectation attitudes? Well, I don't know. I think that shields actually work nicely because they still give you an idea of how to say it's not just good or bad. It's too how to put it? If it's just pass or fail, right, or everyone passes, you can't measure it. It's like when you in class you say well done, and you say well done to everyone. This well done doesn't give them any information. One of the principles of modern education is personalization, right? So you need to be able to personalize and make it like own it, and understand that how you are different from everyone else. And I think shields work this way. They tell you that, okay, this kid got 5 shields, this one got 4, and this one got 3, and this is how we kind of they can relate to each other, and the teacher can relate. I don't think that no shield system would work nicely, if you ask me. But again, I have no influence here, so even if I didn't like the shield system, I wouldn't be able to do anything, right? Yeah, more objective people are saying, yeah, makes sense. Okay, what else I see here? If you remove the shields, the child is not motivated to do their work well, not just ordinarily. Yes, maybe. It's still, some kids are still want to do more and better, and how would you prove that they've done this better and more, right, if there are no shields? So yeah, I think this is for measuring somehow in a very safe way. And also, by the way, shields are given because cognitively kids are not ready to understand the idea of a mark or band yet. That's why we give stars, we give, I don't know, funny stickers and pictures, because that's what they can relate to. And shields, they also can kind of understand. If you give them band 4 or band 5, they would be like, okay, fine. It's usually for all the students, this assessment system, right? Altogether, if we look at these personal attitudes of parents, fears, my advice, general advice here would be try to find out where parental concerns come from. Maybe your parents are super happy about the exams, maybe, and they would be simply telling you, oh yeah, please just do whatever you need. I'm all all here and whatever. If parents are actually skeptical or they worried, try to find out why. So maybe some of these reasons might come up. Maybe some of the parents might say, oh, I hate exams, I never like them myself. So that could be an explanation why they don't want kids to take an exam. Parents who are overly motivated and overly happy with exams can pose another danger, because such parents might be pushing a child to do more and better and more exams. Here again, you need to explain to the parent that we're not just doing exam for the sake of the exam. The whole exam preparation is the learning process, and you can't jump to FCE level, avoiding and like skipping all the previous ones. It doesn't work this way. Levels are built gradually. And yes, we start at low levels. Yes, some parents ask funny questions like, okay, so we take this young learners exam. Will it help us later to enter school or university? Well, we all understand that this is not the level that university would ask for. But again, you're telling them that's not why we do this. That's early positive experience, right? This is lowering anxiety. This is preparing students for exam tasks, and so on and so forth. And parents who want too much of their kids probably should be stopped by you, and you should say that, maybe explain the level system. Tell them that, well, there are 6 levels, basic levels, right? Exams correspond to this level. Your child is here. You can't take an exam of another level. All this usually helps because parents simply get more information, and when you're more informed, you can make a better decision, right? So ignorance, again, ignorance is one of the problems with parents. They simply don't know, right? They have no idea. So as for tips, what I would suggest, obviously start with some kind of a dialogue with parents, right? Explain how exams work if it's necessary, right? If you feel they have no idea. What exams are aiming at? What exam is all about? You can even send them videos from YouTube, Cambridge YouTube channel, where you have the exam procedure filmed, and parents and your students as well can watch it and get an idea what the exam is all about, right? And then it's actually, watching a video explains everything very briefly. If your parents are still, I don't know, they don't know, or they want to know more about the procedure, well, if your school rule allows, invite parents to observe the lessons or record the video. Again, this might be against some school rules. If you follow all the rules and you are allowed to do that, why not, right? So then parents will have a full understanding of what is happening in the classroom. If this is not possible, at least show them the materials, right, that you are using. During this dialogue, I would also think and talk about benefits. The benefits we've just discussed, benefits of exams, that it helps to track progress, that it really helps to increase confidence in children, that it develops and boosts this test ease and lowers exam anxiety and test anxiety. It builds a positive attitude to exam procedure and gives this first positive impression. I think this is all like very good points, and even this is enough for for parents sometimes. So provide parents with all the necessary information. Send them links to the original materials, cambridgeenglish.org. Give them the website. Tell them how to look for information there, so they can read. They can have a full picture what is going to happen. Show them materials that you're using in class, if you're teaching in class, or if you're teaching online, again, send them. Show them the books. It could be vocabulary lists. It could be maybe some even apps or online games and everything that you're using. They will see that there is a lot going on, right? So it's not only gap fill, open the brackets, grammar, because this is usually what exams are associated with. And another area I would suggest touching a little bit is show parents, sorry if you hear my phone ringing, I'm sorry, show parents how to help their kid with studies. So maybe you will need some parental support at early stages. So maybe there are some activities or some exercises that will need help during home assignments. So you can tell parents that, okay, we are the team here, we are working together, and I want you to do this and this at home. If some extra resources need to be used at home, right? So maybe you want kids to watch cartoons in English or play some games in English at home. So if you want to increase the exposure, the only way you can do it through a dialogue with parents, right? Because teachers cannot influence much the like what happens at home, right? Because that's not their let's say area of influence. So here I would agree with parents that they might show films, cartoons, yeah, or read books or something, and you can recommend all this. And another, this is more of a theoretical concept, point number 8, is probably you need to make sure parents understand that language is always a process, right? It's not something we, like you can't learn language to a particular, result and that's it. Like, oh, I've learned a language. No, it's more like I am learning a language, and this is always a process, and exams are just ways to measure the success of this learning at every step of this long path, right? And usually, like as teachers, we know that the more assessment we have, the more like test to assessment procedures on the way we have, the better we can track progress and we can see how learning is going. So exams are just one way to do it, right? Another quote here is about schools. So schools that have introduced Cambridge English exams say that tests helped them actually to increase communication with parents. So this is interesting because discussing the exam itself might be an instrument for you to tell parents more about your teaching style, about aims, about learning and teaching, goals, about the procedure, right, and many other things. Again, teachers often say that parents have no idea about their children's strengths and weaknesses. And again, here, exams come in, right, to measure this and give feedback to parents as well. Otherwise, it's just, well, some parents really need valid proof of, level or language proficiency. So when you say, oh, yeah, he has a good level, he or she has a good level, this might be not enough, right? So exam will officially prove and will have some valid explanation for parents. Then, as for how much how involved parents should be in this whole learning process, of course, that's very individual. That depends on the parental system, on the family. That also depends on you as a teacher, right? Do you want to involve parents, or you would just working with the kid in class and then that's it? Here I wanted just to mention these two words, instruction and education. So instruction can be seen as, telling students what to do and how to do it. Whereas education is more about guiding students on the way and scaffolding them and, trying to develop them to their full potential. So this is a little bit of Vygotsky, ideas. So I think we should be more educators rather than instructors in this sense. And the same as parents. Parents are there not to tell students, do this, don't do that. It's more about helping and supporting, telling them that they are clever enough to do it, that they can manage, boosting their confidence, maybe helping with some study skills, right? So parents obviously at home can help learners to memorize words better, parents can help with time management. They can create this supporting, encouraging system. And even this would be enough for learners to progress. And I'm not even talking about English, actually. This might work for any, learning, right? Good supportive environment is always helpful. And even if parents have no idea about English whatsoever, no idea about exams, and they don't want to get involved, tell parents that they should create at least this, supportive atmosphere, and they should guide and help students to progress, emotionally, like psychologically speaking. So, and again, in the dialogue with parents, you obviously show that you're interested in exam results, right? But as teachers, we should also and always be interested in overall health and happiness of children, right? So exams are good, but if it influences negatively the child, then what is the whole point of doing it? So here, during your parent meetings, you might be talking not only about, okay, here are the exams, this is the material, this is our goal, and these are the activities we use. No, you can also talk about psychological and mental side of preparation, emotional health, regime, I don't know, sleeping habits, whether they're healthy enough. Kids at earlier ages need to be helped with all this, right? They don't have enough self-awareness to see and understand when they're tired, when they are bored, or they can't reflect very well on themselves. So this is where parents help with support, with like mental, emotional support, with tracking their mental state and health. And if the child is too tired, then maybe some workload should be minimized. If the child is engaged and enthusiastic, then maybe we can move on and do more. All these could be topics to discuss with parents, right? So you're an English teacher, right? But you look at the child, holistically. This is humanistic approach where we look at children as, people, not just we look only at their language abilities. This is too narrow, especially during the pandemic. I think everyone noticed that emotional health, mental health, it's like one of the key things now. And if your student is tired or sad or whatever, all these exam results will be simply not necessary. So actually, I start every class with tracking the emotional, context of the group. I'm asking how they're feeling. Would they like to share something? Has anything interesting happened? And I'm trying to kind of be a sort of radar for their emotions, to understand what's going on with them. I think this is important. And pandemic, well, I think it has taught us to be a little bit more empathic and pay a little bit more attention to emotions. So this is about emotional intelligence, basically, right? Well, a few quotes from parents, because, parents are also interviewed by Cambridge, so you can see that parents are satisfied, right, because they could get feedback on the results, and they see how the children are motivated and how they get encouraged, and they like the result and want to continue. So these are all advantages here. Well, that's basically it I wanted to say here. We have a few minutes maybe to discuss something. If there are any questions, I'm going to read the chat now. And thank you very much for being here and for actively participating. All the materials about young learners exams are obviously, you can find them at cambridgeenglish.org. And if parents have these questions, well, send them the website so they can read everything and have this full picture, right? Okay, let me see. Yeah, I see this comment about shields and how parents see them in Russia. Parents don't often understand what these shields mean, yes, and again, apparently teachers should educate parents as well, right? So if you see that parents are ignorant about something, exam results or exam procedure, probably you should tell them more about this so they understand it better. Again, psychologically speaking, not understanding leads to a lot of worries, concerns, or simply reluctance to get involved because I don't know, so I'm not going there. So the more parents know, the easier for you, for them, and for the student. Because everything we do for actually for students, right? All these communication with parents, it can be stressful, it can be tiring, it can be, I know it can be exhausting. Parents are different, right? Well, the same as children and teachers. But the better contact you establish with the parent, the better it will be for your student. So I think that's all for the best, right? Oh, thank you. I see so many thank you notes. Thank you too. Yes, there will be a recording. You will be sent it. You will get it. Yes.